What makes the struggle harder and more painful is to know so many of my fellow citizens, including so many of the people I put my life at risk to defend, are downplaying or outright denying what happened. I feel like I went to hell and back to protect them and the people in this room. But too many are now telling me that hell doesn't exist or that hell actually wasn't that bad. The indifference shown to my colleagues is disgraceful.
There is tragic news. 2 more law enforcement officers who responded to the January 6th riot have taken their own lives. Washington, D.C. police officer Gunther Hashida was found dead at his home Thursday. He was an 18-year veteran of the force. And just a short time ago, confirmation that one of the Metro Police colleagues of his, Officer deFreytag, died by suicide last month. They are now the 3rd and 4th officers who defended the Capitol to do so. Meantime, the Washington Post reports Trump ally, Republican Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, is pushing the theory the FBI knew more about the planning of the insurrection than the Bureau let on. The Post obtained video of Johnson spreading that unfounded claim during a political event this weekend in Wisconsin.
By the way, and I don't see it, but are you watching what's happening in Michigan? Are you watching? Okay, you're former CIA. Yes. Okay. So you think that the FBI had fully infiltrated the militias in Michigan? Anything that's brought about what's happening at the 6 and what's happening with these groups? There is way more people. There is way more to say.
Johnson appears to be referring to the FBI's discovery of an alleged kidnapping plot targeting Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan. There has been no credible evidence to suggest the FBI had a hand in planning the January 6th attack. Meantime, Frank, all this politics. You heard what Ron Johnson said about the FBI, and I want you to listen to Tucker Carlson back in June.
So FBI operatives were organizing the attack on the Capitol on January 6th, according to government documents. And those 2 are not alone. In all, Revolver News reported that there are, quote, upwards of 20 unindicted co-conspirators in the Oath Keeper indictments, all playing various roles in the conspiracy, who have not been charged for virtually the exact same activities, and in some cases, much, much more severe activities as those named alongside them in the indictments. Huh? So it turns out that this white supremacist insurrection was, again, by the government's own admission in these documents, organized at least in part by government agents.
I mean, Frank, if you want to say, huh? None of this, nothing that he said has been tied to any evidence. What's your reaction, though, when you hear those conspiracy theories, especially when they seem to take root with high-ranking elected officials like senators?
Well, first, I'm troubled that we're even having to discuss this, but because it now seems to be an organized, orchestrated propaganda thread that we're going to keep hearing, the more our select committee in the House keeps getting to the bottom of the real facts, let's go ahead and address it once again. With regard to Mr. Carlson's assertion that the phrase unindicted co-conspirator in these indictments of the January 6th defendants means or equals FBI operative, there's no legal justification for saying that. It's not true. He could have asked an attorney or a prosecutor or a defense attorney what unindicted co-conspirator means, and he would have found out it does not mean FBI operative. Now we're seeing it come in a different version from Senator Johnson, not, again, based in any fact, but rather insinuating that somehow the FBI must have orchestrated this. Let's remember, Chris, we first heard that Antifa was actually responsible for the violence on January 6th. Then we heard it was just another typical tourist day. And now, of course, we're hearing, no, never mind, it was the FBI. I say this, if Senator Johnson has actual material facts that the FBI was responsible for pulling off the violence on January 6th, I'm sure he'd be very happy to volunteer or even comply with a subpoena to appear before the House Select Committee so he can explain everything he knows about January 6th.
A typical tourist day. After which 4 Capitol Police officers have taken their own lives. Let's punctuate that, shall we? Frank, I also want to ask you about this report in Politico that Trump's legal team will not immediately try to block testimony from 6 of his former Justice Department officials that are called before Congress. Does that signal anything to you?
I think that they know they're on the losing side of any legal argument. We've got signals from DOJ that attorney-client privilege isn't going to work. Executive privilege isn't going to work. I think they're regrouping. I don't think we've heard the last of an argument or a fight from the Trump camp, but I think they're baffled right now, realizing that there are real people in charge, real lawyers and career professionals in charge now at DOJ, and Congress is taking this seriously. They're regrouping right now. It's not the last we've heard from them.